Hi everyone, this is Kasia from Tarot Map, and this is another installment in SBD series. This time I would like to speak about the Hermit. And this is one of the images that haven't changed that much over the years. This is the Jean Noblet 1650, one of the decks, one of the oldest decks of Tarot de Marseille. And as we see here, the Hermit is shown as an old man with light blue beard and light blue hair. He's carrying the lantern and a staff, walking towards the past. So when I look at it, he looks to the left. So in a way, he's kind of like turning around, making a turn. He's not going towards the future. He tries to enlighten something that is before him, which he may be past and hasn't fully realized. His lantern here, it's interesting because the pink thing is a body color. It should be more body than pink, but I think in this edition maybe they mixed up a little bit the colors. But his lantern has a lot of pink and a yellow symbolizing light, obviously. But I found it quite interesting because to me this lantern also says that the light is in the body. And Hermit is a card of wisdom, and I think the wisdom lies in realizing how much light is in our bodies and that we cannot separate one from the other. So the wisdom has to come from the body has to be enlightened, the spirit comes to the body, and then we can express it. That's the universal law, and the world is dual. So in a reading, when we skip the high horsey, spiritual, and maybe just want to see how we see the Hermit in the reading in this regard, we can, by looking at the picture, say that we want to enlighten something, we want to shed light on something, we want to use maybe our experience and wisdom to bring light to a situation and an issue that might require withdrawing from the world, that might require spending some time within, that might require going into our bodies and finding the answers within, because our bodies are our best guides, and the body always knows. That's how kinesiology works. That's how you can get access to the most amazing traumas and gifts, of the spirit. So maybe that's what Hermit is teaching us. Who knows? But so this is the Jean Noblet, and there's another beautiful depiction of the Hermit from Tarot Noir, and I love how his lamp makes this light and shadow, like kind of image above him. And this is also one of the Hermit's gifts, maybe, that you have to look your shadow into the face. You don't escape it. You enlighten it in a way, you understand it, and you befriend it. And then I went into the Rider-Waite-Smith Hermit. So as you can see, the image hasn't changed too much, which is great. It's one of the images that's quite constant throughout the tarot. Here we can see that the lamp has a star in it, and the Hermit maybe, here we wouldn't know if it's mountains, it's a yellow kind of ground, so it's quite active maybe, or enlightening. Here it's, we don't know, it could be mountains, could be clouds, it could be just a white ground, maybe the innocence, or the the truth seekers kind of symbolic ground. But it's interesting what Edward White writes in the Key of Tarot. So he writes something which I found quite fascinating. He writes that he is bearing this lamp where there is a star, and it is a star which shines in the lantern. And he said that this is a card of attainment and not of truth seeking. So that's interesting already. It's like Hermit understands something. He attains, he achieves an understanding. And to extend this idea, the figure is seen holding up his beacon on a high place. This is his beacon, the light. It could be the light of Christ. It could be Christ's consciousness. It could be understanding of the spirit in the body. Therefore, the hermit is not, as Comte de Gebelin explained, a wise man in search of truth and justice. And that would suggest that justice would be before hermit. Nor is he as later explanation proposes an special example of experience, so not even experience. His beacon intimates that where I am, you also may be. And that's it. That's how much White writes about it. So it's a card of attainment, and his beacon is the light where the star shines, his lantern, and he says, where I am, you also can be. That just reminds me seriously of Christ. So maybe from the highest perspective, that is the beacon. When we think where White placed hermit, so he is before the strength in his system, after the strength and before the wheel of fortune. So he goes, when we look at these three cards, he goes away from the wheel of fortune, back into the strength. And what's fascinating for me is this idea that you cannot introduce any change in the world. The change is happening all the time, but a conscious change. Your world won't change before you realize that you have body and spirit, and before you unite these two aspects of your being. And maybe that's what the hermit is shedding the light on. And that reminds me of this lantern of this hermit from Jean Noblet, when there is so much body and light. So there is light in the body. And if you just searching for the spirit, or if like maybe even Christ came to earth to be in the body, to show the duality, and still that you can attain the wisdom through uniting body and spirit. And maybe there is something like this to look at. It's interesting. It's interesting, and it's a card of attainment. And it's funny how a lot of our descriptions and usage of hermit actually vary from the original writings of White. We just took like parts of it and then based more on the image went with it. The more fascinating part is the tough part. And this one is quite crazy, seriously, because this is like Magus, the voice of light, or prophet of the gods. And this is Yod, the letter Yod, which is the seed of all letters. It's connected to Virgo, so it's a earth sign. And this is mutable earth, so it's the feminine kind of aspect of earth. The Virgo is the feminine aspect of earth, but it's a mutable earth. It's active, it's adaptable. It's ready to be molded. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is exalted in Virgo. So it's a very mercurial card. And I don't know if you ever thought about it, but Yod is fire. It's active masculine principle. Virgo is earth, so it's feminine receptive principle. This card, Hermit, combines in top deck both of those. So it's fire and earth, the most fertile kind of when it comes to an idea, you impregnate an idea and then you bring it into manifestation. And I watched a course on Tarot by Lonmilo Duquet, and what he says about Hermit, it's so fascinating. So everywhere else we can see that Hermit is kind of walking here in Tabula Mundi, he's walking into the underground kind of thing. Here we think he's on top of the mountains, but here, on the other hand, he is underground. This is the perspective Frida Kahlo showed so amazingly. You see kind of above him the wheat shoots. The wheat grows above the hermit. We know he's underground because there is what's this dog called? Cerberus. Cerberus is the three-headed dog from the underworld. So he's accompanying Toph in the underworld. He is kind of staring intently at the Orphic egg surrounded by a serpent. So there is this transformation. The egg is bursting to be open. He is fertilizing this egg with his idea. And he's got the sun here in his lantern in this time. So that's not a star, it's a sun. The wheat symbolizes fertile energy, you know, it's fertile card. He carries the sun in his lantern. Hermit's number can be also reduced from the moon, so from the 18. 8 and 1 is 9. So you always get the sun and the moon. There is this connecting of the opposing forces. I always thought this was a sperm, but L'Homme Duquet explains that this is not a sperm. This is something which Hippolocamus, I don't know, I can't remember the name, but what he says about it, that this is like this idea that whatever you want to manifest and whatever you want to give life to in your magical practice, when you think of it, it's already there. It's the whole thing, it's already in your thinking, in your thought, the whole thing is already existing. So let's say you want to manifest a Cadillac, you see the whole Cadillac, you don't see parts of it. So here it's like this baby in the fetal position, which the whole baby is already existing. So when the egg bursts and starts this manifestation process, you right now fertilizing in Hermit, you fertilizing this egg, the Orphic egg, with this fertile idea, and you see the end effect of your magical manifestation. And so Hermit has both feminine qualities with this Virgo earth and womb, and masculine, this Yod and fire element. And Yod is a seed of all letters, as I said, but also secret seed in the process of fertilization. Is he's surrounded by fertile ground. So this is a very fertile card, and you never think of it with Hermit. You always think, oh, remove yourself. But also, as White says, this is a card of attainment. Maybe by removing yourself or going within, going underground, you go there to manifest, to prepare for manifestation, to prepare, you know, gather your fire, gather your strength to fertilize your idea and to start manifesting it. And isn't it fascinating? Here from Tabula Mundi, he's kind of like going down, and his staff is said to have, you know, the hand, because Yod means hand, so also this creative power of creation with your hand. His staff is like Asclepius' staff of healing with the serpent, so there's this fertile, you know, transformational energy, and he's going down, but his staff connects the abyss with the world. And there's also Cerberus, the three-headed dog, and he's going down to the underworld. His lantern, you know, is lighting the way. So this is quite fascinating, I think, and it's just the beginning of the process of manifestation when you fertilize your idea. So I never thought of Hermit this way, and I thought it was quite amazingly explained. But so that's it, that's the history of it. And now I just want to show you a few decks, not to make it too long. So for example, and a different vibe and different ideas about the Hermit. So Hermit is often seen as someone who is wise, can be a little bit crazy, can be a little bit off, can be a loner, So with Hermit reversed, you've got to be aware of not withdrawing from the society too much, just because then you cannot share your wisdom. It doesn't really pay off too well. And here, the Russian witch of the woods, the Baba Yaga, the Hermit in the Dark Goddess Tarot says, keep going, knowing the journey does not end. So it kind of has a different twist to it. It's about the forever seeker, we always discovering something new. There's a beautiful hermit with from Tarot de Saint Croix. I love the addition of the white birch, which is a goddess tree, and it starts, it begins new life in spring. It means new life. It's a white goddess. So, and I love when the hermit is also a woman. Why not? And she's kind of coming out of the cave. Maybe she's already fertilized that Orphic egg and she's off into the world. I love the aspect of the crone from Margaret Peterson, and let's just have a short read of the poem. The crone. Aging a spiritual journey. So yet another twist, yes? The soul listening inward through the ear labyrinth. Listening to the voice of the heart, place of knowledge and wisdom. The old traveler on her way to the point of oneness, where she touches the cosmic whole. Wingless flying, straight into the heart. Every step is perfect. Love Margaret Peterson Tarot. So you can see this crone kind of going here. It's a bit veiled, it's a bit dark. There's also a crone in Tarot of Transformation, when it's the light of introspection, and two women kind of paying respects in a ritual to that crone image. There's a hermit from Housewives Tarot. They need to take time off, just have a bath, enjoy yourself, just spend some time by yourself. And I think this time alone gives us possibility to be fertile, to know what ideas are important for us. So it's really important to take time off for ourselves. Here's Tarot from the Hermit from the Tarot of the Third Millennium. Kind of when the ideas, maybe while you spend some time alone, come to you from this stuff of magic here that connects the abyss, the underworld, with the world. Hermit from Tarot Droga, just walking on the path. I just love how he blends with the environment. This is Following the Star, so Hermit from the Sevenfold Mystery Tarot. Hermit from the Guild Tarot. I love the colors, just the kind of coldness, the mountain, the light, the mystic kind of idea to this hermit. The Hermit from the Wild Unknown, when you carry always your light with you. Here is on top of the turtle, and you can, show yourself and withdraw whenever you need to. Hermit often seen as being a guide, so yes, you can treat Hermit as a guide as well in a reading, or it usually means to connect to the guidance within. The Hooded Man from the Wildwood Tarot. It's often shown in winter. This is connected to winter solstice and the colder months of the year, when the withdrawal, going within, it's kind of natural thing. I love that he has no face here. It's this void, the fertile void, the womb of creation. Also, this Hermit from the Wooden Tarot, I love it. You've got the mountains, you've got the bear with this kind of eerie, no eyes, like as if he was, just like looking within. And there are crystals buried, so there's treasure buried, and the bear goes into the cave, usually pregnant, to give birth to the little bears. So there is this fertile idea about the hermit. And there is a little hermit from the Nature Spirit Tarot. So I think I wanted to give across the idea that hermit is not only about withdrawing and going off by yourself and just thinking and thinking. No, it's about fertilizing that thinking idea. It's the time needed for you to then go and implement changes in your life and go with the flow, you know. So I find it quite fascinating. This card is quite amazing. So hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made sense. Let me know what you think and what your thoughts are, and speak to you soon. Bye.